I can leave that right there. That's fine. And good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Inside Sports Talk Radio on this nice, humid, hot Monday afternoon, July 27th. I'm Ian Rollinson for my co-host, Mr. Earl Bates, in control at my right. At the controls is Mr. Don Bass. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, you guys sound real mellow right now. The weather is the heat. Yeah.
Then it makes you like drowsy a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no cut match feel, so you're like real mellow,
You
huh?
know, it's like, what's that?
Well, your team too.
I'm on
St. George's, that's right. Yeah, yeah. You gotta wait for another year, bro. That's it's the bottom line. You gotta wait for another year.
Oh,
I get it. The weather's not even gonna save you.
Yeah, I'm about to say, you know what I mean? Excuses.
Actually, it's a world excuse. It's a world excuse. But it's all good. Just let our listeners know, our guest today that will be joining us on Inside Sports Talk Radio will be Rashawn Blanche, the president of Summers Creek Club, and Will Pankville, so the president of St. George's School Club. We will have them on at 1:30. They'll be a featured guest. We have them at the same time do a conference call. This week will be, as they say, top match week, right?
Yeah, cup match week.
Yeah, interesting. Different one. David Patrick, the assistant coach, basketball coach for the University of Arkansas, will be definitely joining us this week. Obviously, due to last week. It happened, so he's going to be joining us today. Back and forth.
Right.
That's going to be kind of interesting. We can talk to him about that as well because obviously the last breaking story that you and I had chatted about was baseball.
Yep.
So now the baseball 14 play, well, 12 players and 2 coaches.
Right.
This was a damper into baseball, but we'll talk about that later. Of course, Dave Wolf for life will join us, and he gave his insight on how he's going to spend the holidays and how to stay in shape and eat the right foods. Fit for life with Dave Wolf. And we'll wrap it up today with the president of the Bermuda Football Association giving us an update on how things are happening on the international side and what's in store for Bermuda.
Yep. I believe what's going forward as far as the senior men's teams, and then obviously CONCACAF and FIFA. We should be hearing more about it very, very soon. But hopefully the president can give us some insight as to what the early talk is amongst the federations around the CONCACAF region. So,
Okay. Yeah, that's going to be good. That's going to be good. Just switching up real quick to baseball. Did you see Dr. Fauci throw out the first pitch in baseball?
yeah, I did. I did. Stop laughing, man.
You know, they made a baseball card out of that.
They did?
They made a baseball card. I'm like, whoa, and it's selling.
Well, it wouldn't.
Yeah, it would. For laughter. Right?
Yeah.
What's the dolls?
The bubblehead.
Bubblehead.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's gonna be next.
Oh,
right?
definitely.
That's gonna be next. Man, did you see the throw?
That's it. Did not see it at all.
You know, we didn't grow up. We didn't grow up playing baseball.
No.
I know we'd have done a better job than that. Mercy is right. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. Throw it on the outfield, right?
Yeah, right. Guarantee you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a guarantee. I like that one. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm looking at that like, oh, how you throw a baseball? That's your sport. Behind you. That's unheard of.
Wow.
All right. It was almost behind him. Dr. Fauci made through the
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, that catcher, he had to like dive to his right, like he's playing slips.
But at least he has run a little further than, who was it, 50 Cent? Because he has almost hit his shoe.
Oh yes, that was terrible as well.
All week you practice.
Right. They tell you in advance, and
They tell you in advance.
so you put it in your schedule.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah. So it's gonna be
Damian is a doctor. He's been fighting this pandemic, so
good. That's a good excuse.
Yeah.
That's a good excuse.
Yeah.
So speaking of the pandemic, as we talked earlier about baseball, last night 4 players from the Miami Marlins tested positive, and this morning obviously more tests were taking place. 10 players, 2 coaching staff. These a total of 14 representatives of Marlins organization being tested for COVID-19.
right.
That game is being canceled tonight in Florida, so it's going to be interesting what's going to happen going forward. I think you and I had discussed earlier the advantage that basketball has. It's a roster of 15 players.
Right.
think which you said baseball shall follow is put it all in one area.
Yeah.
Baseball.
Each league should have, or each league should have. You playing in one place,
one zone.
With all the players in that city,
Right.
in the bubble as they call it,
Right.
and you operate out of that. That makes it, you can control things. When you've got a team of probably 50 people, because you're talking about, although they're not at the game, you're talking about a lot of other people.
Yes.
Traveling on a plane, going to a game, traveling back, and all that. You're opening yourselves up to catch anything. Whereas what basketball has done, they've put them all together. They've put them in that bubble.
Yeah.
And for them, okay, you're going to have a few people who test positive early, but as it gets started, you're not going to have this big outbreak unless players do what
necessary.
No, the player the other day that was seen outside.
Williams.
Basketball
player.
Yeah. You know, if you're going to break the rules, then obviously you're putting yourself and your teammates at risk, and the game itself, because if you infect other players from other teams, then those games can't go on, and then it's a domino effect.
That's why it's called pandemic, and that's why it spreads.
Yes.
45 should know that.
He's doing his best.
Yeah, it's a good answer. Like I said, you get chicken wings, right? So you can get chicken wings in any place you want, but you can go to Magic City and get chicken wings at Magic City. I went to school in Atlanta, bro. I knew all about Magic City.
And I'm pretty
It's a gentleman's club.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
It's an adult gentleman's club. So even to get chicken wing, I get it, bro. That's chicken wing that you
like. They had a different flavor on the chicken wings.
Different flavor. and the part they're saying now is that he pre-ordered. Why did I holler? So yeah, he pre-ordered that.
Extra spicy.
Extra spicy. And he put it all on his credit card. Yeah, like Magic City, bro. I was down there in the 80s, okay? It's a hopping place, folks.
Madness, pure madness.
And it's madness at its best, but nevertheless. And just reasons like this is why we don't have cup match.
Right.
And it's funny is that, you know, people saying we still should have cup match, Just hypothetically putting it out there. And we said this before. If we had cup match, you know, whoever wins.
Right.
But if we got a spike in that, you know who they're blame? Thank you very much. Yeah. Right? And
for allowing them to do it.
That's true.
Yeah.
But then you see how it came out, the press releases that the club made the decision.
But
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
See what they're saying. The government could overrode this.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
We're going to speak to the two people that run Cup Match.
Yeah, run Cup
in
Match.
about 5 minutes.
About 5 minutes. It was the best decision they made.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best
a hard
decision.
one, but probably for the greater good of Bermuda, it was the right decision. Yeah. So.
And then we got to look at, as you know, the economic side of the event itself. How many people would have afforded to go to Cup Match?
Yeah.
Would have all the stalls been in place to purchase?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Things like that. And then you needed the cleaning services. Yeah. So much would have been behind the scenes that people don't know.
It's far too many people at one location to sort of manage. Without a pandemic, they manage well. With a pandemic, you're now adding many more restrictions on people, and the problem with that is it's just so many people congregating at one place. And then if you turn around and say, well, only 1,000 people can go to Cup Match, oh my gracious!
Oh, we have problems with cricket now. Say 250.
You have a lottery?
1,000 people. You look at just production people like you and I.
Yeah.
That's gonna cover you 50 people.
Yeah.
Maybe 75.
Yeah, regular cricket game, they're up to 100 people for officials. When I say officials, that's players, officials, umpires, scorers, and all that nature events. So you want to make sure that if the premier or the minister of sport wants to attend, then they're part of that official group. So you know, it's a numbers game, and they've managed it well thus far at these cricket games. Obviously, everything takes time, so hopefully.
I give credit to the government for doing that, and a great job. I give credit to the BCB for following the guidelines. Right? Look at the English Premier League season just finished. The Spanish League is finished, and the Italian League is about to finish.
Yeah.
my point is that they're following the mandates that's in place,
Mhm.
and I think this morning they said on BBC, I can't remember the number, so don't quote me the number. It says say 4,000 tests were taking place. Out of that 4,000 tests was like 3% that came back positive during the season that returned.
Right.
So they're putting things in place
Yeah.
to follow the
Yeah.
guidelines, right?
Yeah.
And that's all you do,
Yeah.
right? And now the same, it was last week that the Prime Minister said there's a possibility that we may have
Fans in
fans at
October.
the games in October, right?
Yeah. Not
season,
the start of the season.
No, the season starts September 12th.
Right.
But in October, and it's not going to be a full house.
Right.
It's probably going to be 25% of that full
Right,
house, right?
right.
Which is still
Yeah.
huge for us.
I just think what they need to do, the season ticket holders, from the previous year would be
Carry
the
over.
ones, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I think remember they reimbursed them.
Right. But I'm saying if you were a ticket, if that's I'm looking at that as that's how it should be looked at, because remember, season ticket holder is that long term person that's going to come to the home game. So we want to get in to watch the game. That's not going to be the case.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
Right.
basically. So what they should be looking to do is with that 25%, you're going to have to buy a season ticket.
Also, what's going to happen after 25% that visitors? So if I went to Liverpool to travel to Man United, I might not be able to go because of that percentage.
Yeah. The one thing that they will probably do is you control your home and I'll control my home.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
If you're traveling to my stadium, then your fans will have to watch it on television.
Makes sense. It's going to be interesting over the next 72 hours what direction baseball is going to go, right? Because each party looks at each person, right? And they thought that since what basketball did, that people will follow, but obviously it didn't work.
Right.
Now they're saying, let's see what happens to college sports, which
Right.
you and I had talked about,
Yeah.
right? That what's going to happen going forward? Because of what happened today in baseball, they
Right.
would follow and say, well, what's going to happen to college football, baseball, whatever, but just college sports in general.
Right.
So that's going to be very, very interesting. Okay, we're going to take a commercial break, and we'll come back with our guest thereafter.
with Ian Rollins and Earl Mason.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Joining us today and right about now is the two presidents of Somerset and St. George's Cricket Clubs, Bashan Blanchard of Somerset and Neil Pinker of St. George's. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Ian. Thank you for that.
Week is an historical week. As we know, it's usually the annual Cup Match Classic, but it's not happening this year.
Ian's getting away.
Okay,
Ian's getting away.
I'm getting away. Okay, my president's on the phone. He knows who has the cup.
No problem. No
All
problem.
right, so don't
Good
start.
afternoon, Mr. Presidents. Wonderful, wonderful.
Well, either one can lead first. I said, let's start with Neil. Neil, what's happening with you now that there's obviously no Cup Match has been announced? What's things?
Both clubs that is to put on a series of events in the lead up to Cup Match. So that's basically what we're doing on the 2 days of Cup Match. We really don't have anything planned at our facility, I can tell you that. So other than that, people will be spending time with their family, their friends, and just in the spirit of what Cup Match is about.
Good. And President Bashan Blanchard, Somerset?
Yeah, so just after what President Painter had communicated, both clubs have been working with the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs in terms of having some content developed to be broadcast in 2 days. In addition to that, us in Somerset were looking to do a couple small things, being mindful and respectful of all the guidelines that are in place at present. So we're tentatively looking to do like a march from the Family Society over on Manchester Street to the club via the Warren Simmons Field. That will be on the Thursday, just to get the community out and involved there and sort of honor Cup Match.
Okay. My question is this. Usually it's a different type of stress for both of you this time of the year. I guess you guys' blood pressure is real low right about now, huh?
Well, I'm sure Bashan's here because he would have been hosting. But I'm just sitting on my boat, so I'm enjoying the life right now. I just relax as we speak.
I like that. I like that. Just relaxing as we speak. Any comments on it, Mr. Blanchard?
Yeah, obviously things are a lot less frantic than they would ordinarily have been. People would have been at the club right now. You would have heard the drills, the hammers, the vendors setting up all their stalls, and people running around. So yeah, a lot less frantic than ordinary times.
When you look at what it takes to put on this event, members, vendors, and all, how much time and effort is put in by the committees, both committees, obviously, when you're hosting it, to ensure that everything is covered for these particular 2 days?
363 days of work.
Yeah, the Cup Match preparation begins after
People have been asking, where's Cup Match going to be next year? And I told them I don't have the answers, but since you both are here, you care to shed a little light on where Cup Match is going to be held next year?
Well, according to any further that if something should change outside of that, then I'm sure the public will be informed appropriately. But as it stands, it's at Wellington Oval in 2021.
So as you put it, work is starting Saturday morning.
Yes.
He said yes.
Some minor preparations for 2021.
Neil, I think last time we spoke, and I said to you that if St. George's does host the event next year, 2021, some changes will be made because of COVID-19. Has that been in discussions? Have you had any meetings on that going forward?
Parties and government, because I think that's going to be very key. Because as we know, between now and next July, things could change. Things could even change for the better, or they can change for the worse. But we do know that there will be more guidelines and stringent guidelines, we already have stringent guidelines for Cup Match. They're probably going to, double when it comes to next year. So we just have to take almost, like I said before, you almost have to put a plan A and a plan B in place. A plan A would be the Cup Match is held next year at its normal time, and the pandemic is behind us. But if the pandemic is still here, we may have to go to some form of a plan B, which we don't have right now. But that will come through our deliberation and talks with Somerset and with all the club and agencies.
Of a Cup Match club, but of clubs that do dual sports. usually right after cup match, the focus turns to the other national sport. Um, Football starts getting up and running. What is the latest talk about football games um, come September, if anyone?
Well, to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah, we haven't got anything in reference to football yet. I guess, and I'm assuming, obviously, we're looking at how cricket goes, because obviously with all the guidelines we have right now, I guess it could almost be a pilot program for what happens in football as well, depending on where we are with this pandemic.
One thing that's going to be different, and again, back to our question is, you got two sports at two major clubs in Bermuda. You got youth programs, you've got intermediate programs, and you got the senior programs. So each program is going to be affected by this regarding football and various other sports within your organizations. So that means a lot's going to be in place, if it has to be in place for your sport to go forward in the fall season.
Yeah, that is correct. And those guidelines, I don't think they're in place as yet. But obviously, and I'm sure Somerset as well, a lot of other clubs have started their registration for their youth programs and their senior programs, and we're just getting all that up and running. And I guess as we get closer to the start of the season, we will know how we can administer and run those programs under the current or the future guidelines.
Rashawn, now that cricket is up and running of sorts, we're doing 2020 and you're able to host games at Somerset Cricket Club, and Somerset is actually playing at times. How do the players feel about cricket right now in your conversation with them?
To be honest, I think they're happy to have restarted. An athlete thrives off of competition. So now that they're up and running playing matches, I think they're reasonably, pleased that, although belated, that they're not actually out there in the field playing some cricket.
Yeah, but I would tend to agree with Sean. I think they just want to get up. As athletes, we want to compete, and it's nice to know that they're getting some competition and learning their skills at the same time.
Interesting. Back to cup match, gentlemen. As we know, this would have been the week leading to cup match. Saturday night would have been the night where the norm was Somerset will pick their team first, then St. George's will follow, and then they'll be all talking about it on Sunday and Monday and things of that sort. You guys missed that banter?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, go ahead,
definitely.
Sean. I'm sorry.
Yeah, definitely. Saturday going was a bit surreal, which would have ordinarily have been the final cup match trial, and no cricket being played or no cup match trials being played, and like you said, people waiting around the club in anticipation for the teams to be selected. And I would also add to that Cold Cup match, which would have been played yesterday after Somerset. I mean, we were fortunate to have a game, but not the game we would have liked in the best case scenario.
Neil?
Yeah, well, I appreciate the banter, but I think it was like a welcome change. We didn't have to worry about anyone telling us off, and then we didn't pick the right team or someone in your pick. But I definitely missed the banter. I definitely missed the opportunity to announce the team to our members and then to the community at large, and players possibly getting their first opportunity at cup match. So, yeah, there definitely was a miss, and we're hoping to buy it.
Well, Mr. President Neil, how many times have you gotten it wrong? Because, but like you said, someone's always got it wrong. So, how many times you guys got it wrong?
Every time.
What's this every time? It's hard to please everyone. I know exactly where you're going, Neil. It's your
To please everyone. I mean, and I just want to clarify, it's neither Rashawn or myself that get it wrong, because we're not selective. And I think people need to understand that.
and that's a good point. Yeah,
The teams, but we accept the teams that the selectors pick. Obviously, they pick the team that they feel that will represent each club to the best of their ability, and it's hope that whenever you pick a team, that they will, represent your club well. So, yeah, I mean, we're never going to get it right, but at the end of the day, if we're going about it the right way, really good things can come out of it.
and the funny part, let me add to that, is this: whoever wins cup match, then they say, "That was a great team you selected," right? And you guys as presidents just shake your head like, we didn't select the team, we're just announcing the team. It's funny. It's funny. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Then the parts that I miss is like say if Summits already in at say 7:30, right? 8:30, then on to the team. So well, they St. George's. It's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Neil's like, don't call me no more. Don't call me no more. Just leave it alone, right? I'll let you know. Yeah, 11 o'clock. So oh, here's the
Well,
team.
well, the good thing I would say about that, you guys were challengers when you were doing this. So you would call in, and they could easily pick a team because they were challengers. They were trying to find the chemistry.
Ah,
Yeah. So
got you,
okay,
got you.
okay.
So what are we now?
Challengers.
No, we're champions.
In my eyes, you'll always be challengers.
Oh yeah, sure, go ahead.
Selecting the team is part of our business plan. Wow. So I'm sure Bashan can appreciate what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know where you're going, Frank.
That's why I like talking to both of you guys at the same time. No, it's all good. But gentlemen, before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to add to the community of Bermuda to let them know why you chose this way? Obviously, to be safe instead of being sorry. I think it was a right decision that you both made collectively on this situation. As you know, Earl and I were talking earlier about baseball. Baseball has 14 players who tested positive in the last 24 hours. And so we're saying if it was held here in Bermuda and that happened, every game and cup match, because your health is very important. All health.
Yes. On what it's truly about. Yes, we're not playing the game of cricket during the cup match time, but you can still honor the tradition. You can still honor the traditions of paying homage to our ancestors and for those who created this beautiful game and this beautiful holiday that we now celebrate. So that's all I would ask the general public to do is just remember everything about Cup Match and let's look forward to next year.
Sean?
I would just echo the sentiments of President Painter. Everyone used it as an opportunity to reflect on what Cup Match really means and also understand that Cup Match will never be cancelled. Cup Match has been around since 1902. Albeit this year will be a little different with no cricket being played, but Cup Match is still Cup Match. Spend your time well with your family and friends, and enjoy the fellowship, enjoy the banter, and reflect on its meaning.
Thank you, John. But before we go, I just want to ask both of you this. Neil, you've been in the helm for I think 18, 19, maybe 20 years. I'm not too sure. How many victories have come your way and how many defeats?
Well, I can tell you when I came in 2001, we didn't have the cup. We won it in 2005, and then we lost it in 2012, and the rest is history. How many of this were losses or draws? I don't have that in my state right now, but I know when we didn't have it, when we had it, and now we don't have it.
Right, so there's 2 victories for you. I get it. That's understandable. Yeah, okay. And Vashon?
My first Cup Match was 2018, that historic meeting up in Somerset, and we've had 2 draws. A draw last year, sorry.
Right. Okay. I got it.
Cup Match as president.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I know one thing you guys will not miss is all the other commitments that you have outside of the match leading up to Cup Match, because it would have been tonight with the Premier's reception. Tomorrow's always something else, and Wednesday's something else, and then obviously the game itself. And I know you guys will have downtime and time to reflect yourselves. So all the best for the Cup Match holiday, and we want to wish you well and looking forward to 2021.
All right. Thank
you. Take care.
Thank you, gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll be back after this.
We now return to Inside Sports Talk Radio with Ian Rollins and Earl Mason.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio on this Monday, July 27th, the week that was of Cup Match. Joining us on the line now is Mr. David Patrick, who's the assistant basketball coach at the University of Arkansas. David Patrick, his father lives in Bermuda. He spends some time in Bermuda. First of all, good afternoon, or good morning where you are, David.
Hey, good morning, guys. Good to be on the show again.
Well, you know, you have had what one may consider a whirlwind time of coaching. You've had your somewhere else, and what put you in the position of wanting to coach a sport like basketball?
Obviously I played in college and had the fortune of playing professionally in Australia and Europe. And so when my time finished as a player, I've been in basketball for so long in my life, so I thought jumping into coaching would allow me to give back to young players that aspire to be college players. Now, I didn't know I'd be at the point that I'm at now, but I think the fact that I played for such a long time gave me the tools to then now be able to develop young men that want to go on to be college players or professional players.
The fact that you moved to a place like Arkansas, obviously, what drew you to want to work with the coaching staff that was at that school that you wanted to bring your experience in?
Look, the University of Arkansas is probably a top 10 basketball program in the country and a top 10 athletic program in the U.S. And so when the head coach, a good friend of mine, Eric Musselman, called me, it wasn't too hard to say no. When you talk about trying to work with somebody who's your friend who's also at a well-renowned basketball program in Arkansas, the answer was pretty quick for me to say yes. I think my previous experience of working at LSU, which is in the SEC and part of the same conference that Arkansas is in, has given me some experience at this same conference, and so I'm quite familiar with the surroundings and what I'm jumping back into.
Well, the University of Arkansas has a rich history of connection to Bermuda with the Olympian Brian Wellman attending. We had two Bermuda players, one in track and field in Janai Parent-Chief, as well as Dev Whaley with Bermuda connections. Both graduate this year, and now we have someone in a leadership capacity.
When I got the job 2 weeks ago, when I did my history on the Bermudians that have been here, I was blown away. I had to sit to a reporter who would think an island like Bermuda would have so many athletes and now a coach be playing someplace like Arkansas. So what a great thing for what I still call my home country, Bermuda, and what a great thing for Arkansas for both these places to mix.
David, I just want to put things in perspective. Now that you are the assistant coach, you're moving from the West Coast down south. You're still a bit in the West, just tidying up your things there and making the move back to the south. The pandemic. The big news today on the North American scene of sports is baseball with the pandemic, COVID-19. What's going to be in place for basketball? Because right now, the fall season of college football may be pushed back, and then they're saying that all teams in the SEC may play in the SEC or various divisions in the ACC, so forth. How much of an impact is this going to be for the University of Arkansas and the basketball team?
No, that's a great question. I think when it comes to finance, play a big role in what your sports teams. So we're fortunate here at Arkansas to kind of created our own bubble, so to speak, where our players are already back. We're going to week 2 of practice. But there's a lot of regimented things you have to do before you come on campus. Like I have to wear a mask while I'm coaching. We can't have contact with our players on the floor at the moment. So that's not the same for every program. Some programs aren't allowed to be on campus yet. And so a lot of times that's finance, whether being able to afford PPE gear or being able to house your student athletes during this trying time during COVID. So right now the situation is pretty fluid, as you can see with the flare up in baseball. I think the NBA has somewhat got it figured out, at least over the first of their bubble in Orlando. But our hope is that college football starts for us in the SEC here over the next month and a half or so. And then our hope is to roll into the basketball season, which should be a little later in November, provided the numbers are down, that we can at least start some simulation of playing back then. But we're not showing fans, etc. as that thing plays out.
One advantage that, as we all know, and including yourself, is that basketball has over college football, NFL, or not any sport, but various other sports, is that the size. College basketball, I think you carry a roster maybe 15 players, and coaching staff and assistant coaches maybe 20. Where baseball is 25, 30, up to 35. NFL, college football, those numbers are huge. So one thing, that advantage that you guys have is the size and numbers, and that helps you guys in this situation.
Oh, it helped us tremendously. We have just fortunate here at Arkansas and in the SEC. We charter on our own plane, and so we don't have to go through public airports. So all that stuff is an advantage, I think, when you talk about playing in the SEC and playing somewhere like in Arkansas.
How much of an impact has this been for your recruitment for you guys regarding scholarships? I'm sure when you're knocking on the doors, making the calls, sending the emails, doing the Zoom conferences, and you're recruiting Earl Bates and Ian Rollins, the first thing that the parents are saying is, how is my son or daughter?
How they're protected when they come on campus. But
Right.
the other part is all of us college coaches have become experts on this Zoom. You're showing student athletes and their parents your campus is basically over a computer, and that's not normal because they don't get the same feel of flying to the campus or letting them, eat a meal with your staff. That's been quite unique and challenging with the times, but I think we're all having to adapt, and I've become a pro with the Zoom. It's a lot better, but it's definitely tougher times as a parent, I think, to decide on where you want to send your son or daughter to school if you can't physically visit that place, due to COVID at the moment.
So therefore, has the recruitment been more so, in your case again, Arkansas, have you been more kept home, meaning that you're doing all the recruiting more in the South or Southeast region as opposed to taking some of your athletes from the West Coast and flying them down to...
The NCAA is not allowed, it's called a dead period at the moment, and so college coaches nor prospective athletes can even come on your campus, nor can we leave. And so everything's done virtually. And so it's challenging, and those programs like us that can come up with the best social media posts and the best virtual videos are the ones who are fortunate right now that they get some of these recruits early until they open up travel for these prospective student athletes.
David, your experience at the national level in your role with the Australian national team, how much of that has helped you to grow as a coach when you got so many different players from all over Australia coming into the national program?
Look, I think it helped me tremendously. It allowed me to coach, I guess, some of the best players in the world. That Australian national team, we have Patty Mills from the San Antonio Spurs and Matt Dellavedova from the Cleveland Cavaliers, Joe Ingles from the Utah Jazz, hopefully Ben Simmons at the next Olympics. So, so to be able to be around those players on a daily basis for 2 or 3 months, you learn so much from being around them of what it is to really be a pro. And then when you're studying as a coach, the other athletes you play against, whether it's Spain, France, Lithuania, the styles of play, areas that I think have just allowed me to grow so much more as a college coach. There was only 2 collegiate coaches that coached at the World Championships last year, which was myself and Jay Wright, who's at Villanova, who coached with Team USA. So to have that fortune to be able to do that, it's something that has really helped as a young coach, trying to aspire to get better.
when you look at the potential of if the Olympics come off, um, have they done the pairings yet, or what how you be seeded and all, and who you will be matched up against? Because well, obviously the Olympics would have been on today had we not had the pandemic.
Look, they were about to do the seedings actually before, sorry, the pairings before, before kind of got postponed. I do know the seeding. We finished out last year ranked third in the world, which is huge. Australia was ranked 11th going into last year, and then after the World Championship came out ranked third in the world. Which is a good feat for a country of only 22 million people. And so our hope is to be seeded well. Hopefully be away from the U.S. or Serbia because they're two of the powerhouses in the world. And the hope is to get a medal. Australia has finished fourth, even at the Worlds this past year. We finished fourth, but never got a medal. And our goal, at least for Australia, is to try to be that first team to acquire a medal, which we think is achievable when that time comes.
Australia has improved in basketball, and I say that to say that not only have you done well as a country on the domestic side, but players are now, as you mentioned earlier, in the NBA, and they're grooming, and the sport of NBA is growing internationally. That's why it's probably the fastest growing sport in the last 5 years internationally, outside of football, right? / soccer. What do you attribute the success, David, that basketball has grown so well?
Thank you. And even when I came back to Bermuda 2 years ago, just to see the amount of kids that were following basketball a lot more than it was when I was a kid and was watching soccer. But in Australia, it's the exposure that the NBA game gets on TV. It used to be once a week. Now it's about 3 or 4 times a week. And now they show college basketball on TV all the time, at least in Australia. So I think as a young kid growing up, not only are you watching the cricket and the soccer of the world, but now you're seeing basketball. And the fact that they've had a few NBA players in the past, that dream now for college, for Australian young kids to get in the NBA is a reality. And they watch it, they watch it Patty Mills, or they watch it Dellavedova on TV, knowing that they're from Australia. They know that they have a chance to also be in those shoes. So I think the exposure and also seeing the countrymen playing at the highest level has allowed the sport to grow tremendously there.
In the early goings of training at Arkansas, how have the players adjusted to this new way of training and playing and getting into the facility?
Look, I've been blown away by the mental toughness during this period because it's so hard. They're the only athletes on campus for football and women's basketball. So there's a couple other sports here, so they're on their own. But the way that they've come to work every day, they're always in the gym, shooting on their own, whether they come in the morning or in the night. They really use this time to just hone in on their craft. And typically, when the world's opened up, these kids are going to malls or going traveling during the summer. But our guys here at Arkansas have been locked in the gym and trying to get better. So they make the most of it, and we've tried to stress to them about trying to be nimble during this phase. I mean, you got to be able to adjust if they shut us down in a day or two, or if they shut us down in a month. You have to be able to continue to work on your craft on your own. And the players here at Arkansas have definitely done that up to date.
I got one question for you. This gentleman just wrote in a text, right? He went to school in the SEC and he's listening to the show. And he told me to tell you, David, there's only one school that matters in the SEC, and he says the Auburn Tigers. His name is Albert J. Donovan.
Yeah, they get a football.
On the May 24th Derby here in Bermuda, he's one of our finest athletes when he was running cross country and middle distance and long distance. But he's an avid sports fan, and he loves sports, and so he's listening, and he's like, told me to tell you, it's only one school, Auburn Tigers.
That's big time. Yeah, they're good at track. I would say the best conference in college athletics at every sport. And so the fact that he ran cross country there, whether it be Auburn or Arkansas or wherever it may be, you got to be world class to play in this conference. And, I understand the school he's talking about, but they don't really hold it compared to a lot.
If Charles Barkley was listening to you right now, I'm sure he'd be on your case because he went to the University of Auburn. He's a Tiger.
I know. Patrick Beverly's playing right now.
That's right. Yeah.
Respect. But it's good. It's good fun, and that's the beauty of being in the SEC. There's so many pros from every school,
Right.
and you're playing against world class talent every night. So that's why I'm so excited to be back at this level.
Yeah, and you got a good head coach, Eric Musselman. If I'm correct, his father was an NBA coach for the Minnesota Timberwolves who passed away due to cancer.
Yes, so Eric's dad was probably a Hall of Fame head coach in the Timberwolves and Portland Trailblazers. And then Eric Musselman, who was the head coach, was the former head coach of the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings, and one of the youngest head coaches at his time in the NBA. And so I'm under great leadership and going to use this time here to continue to grow as a coach, and hopefully I can be like him one day, running my own NBA team or Power 5 basketball program.
Wow, I hear you, bro.
Let me ask you this question,
Sorry,
David. How much did you grow in your last job? Because you kind of had a program that was struggling when you first got in there, and then you kind of made some inroads and helped them to believe in themselves. So how much did you grow yourself over that period of time in your last job?
Well, look, I think I grew tremendously, as a coach from year one to year two. I know last year was my second year at the end of this year, and we won the most games in the history of the school in a 2-year span. But what I learned was, anytime you're a head coach and running an organization, a lot of the decisions fall on your shoulders, and you don't know that when you're an assistant. And so what I learned was the pressure that head coaches are definitely under. It's not a lot. Sometimes it's not even the X and O's. It's the decisions of your staff or the decisions of your budget, etc. And what you do social media wise and how you live your life as a head coach. A lot of people are counting on you, and so I learned those attributes as well as the X's and O's in terms of really just running a program and running a team from top to bottom.
Question for you, and you mentioned it since you said budget, and you were in the head coach on the West, but now going on to the Southeast, and you're going to be the assistant coach, a bigger division, meaning SEC recruiting, meaning that the scholarships, they're saying the scholarship numbers may not be out there as it was in previous years due to COVID-19.
Look, I think when it comes to the budget at the program I was at, maybe hit some due to COVID. In California, the state legislature is a lot different than say University of Arkansas. Our sporting budget here at Arkansas is probably top 5 in the country in terms of the investment. In terms of the backing of the program. Just to get put in perspective, I think our nutrition budget last year for sports nutrition was number 1 in the country at $3.5 million just for sports nutrition here at Arkansas. Now that's how much food the athletes eat. My budget over in Riverside is one of the points, maybe a point 2 on that. So it's a different animal when you're talking to the money that they spend in the SEC or at the Power 5 level, especially at Arkansas. So when it comes to scholarships, I think we'll be okay because we're a fully funded sport. But I do think, depending how long COVID hits, there may be some travel restrictions or stuff that comes along if there's not a season. The hope there is a season. But if there's not a season, some of that TV money may be gone. And I'm sure that'll be addressed if it happens. But they seem to be a lot more secure here in Arkansas than some other places.
I got one more question, David. When you start talking about, we see in the professional ranks, everyone's chartering the Black Lives Matter movement. What have the NCAA been talking about with college kids and university kids being able to express themselves? Have they put guidelines on them? Have they allowed them to discuss it openly? How have they addressed it thus far?
Look, I think the Black Lives Matter movement has definitely affected us all, and at some somehow it's turned out to be a positive because it's being talked about now within pro sports and college sports. I do know there's been some open dialogue with student athletes and faculty of how it affects them. Because the reality is, at least half, if not more, of the college athletes on campus basketball. There's been a lot of initiatives to give student athletes November 3rd off, and some programs are going to do that to allow them to vote. I know some places we need to teach student athletes to vote and to register to vote, and those conversations that are happening in fluid, and those same conversations weren't even talked about in my experience as a coach. So it's unfortunate all the stuff that's gone on around it in terms of young black people being brutalized, but it's definitely opened up the conversation. And the hope is in the future that we can move forward to a better place.
You know, as you mentioned, the Black Lives Matter situation has opened up everyone's eyes, and yes, the young people are out expressing more and understanding it more and passing on the information to the seniors, and seniors are welcoming this. In your perspective, you're not only going to be a basketball coach, but you're going to deal with matters like this, as Earl mentioned about the BLM, the Black Lives Matters. Your head coach is white. You're a black assistant coach. How are you guys going to connect and make this work together as a team and pass this information on and share it with your players?
I think it's important to educate them. And as we talk, I'm looking at our practice plan today. We had practice in about an hour here. And, we're going to talk about John Lewis, the great John Lewis, who passed away last week.
University.
And
My graduation.
I think it's good to hear that from our head coach's mouth, to hear him talk about his passion for what Mr. Lewis did for all of us, for me to be able to sit here as a coach and for our players to be able to play. And to see, guys like him and Martin Luther King paved the way for all of us. And so there are ongoing conversations that he addressed as the leader of our program. And I think from us, he's married to an African American lady from Atlanta, and so they see it. He's an example of somebody who doesn't discriminate nor see color. He has two white sons and a mixed daughter, and he's an example for our players that color doesn't matter. It's more about the person rather than the color. And so it's something we talk about as a program, and he tries to emulate the leader of that program.
Well stated, well stated. And interesting about sports is they say sports brings everyone together, black, white, pink, yellow, any race, creed, or color. And that's why a lot of people excel in sports. They get along, and it's there. It's been proven, and it continues to improve. And I wish you and the University of Arkansas all the best. You're definitely climbing the ladder to the SEC. You're taking on the Auburn Tigers and things of that sort. So it's not an easy task. It's a great school where you're going to be at. It's a great athletic school. Yes, they're good in track and field. They're known for football and of course, basketball. So I will be looking out for you. And I wish you guys all the best. And hopefully you can get your basketball up and running and also put forth the scholarships. Not an easy task. My last one was that I wanted to ask was, I just read a report last week or a week before. There's a possibility regarding student athletes may, and correct me if I'm wrong, let's put the word, don't have to take the SATs this year because of COVID-19. Is it been talk about that?
Yeah, they talk about universities, not using that as a barometer to get you to allow you into school. There's still certain mandates the NCAA requires, so but there's going to be a little bit more lenience, I guess, on SATs and those that couldn't access it, because it's such a new experience for all, I hope that answers your question the right way.
Yes, it did, and that's interesting because of course what we're going through with COVID-19, and that will be an impact for everyone taking SATs because when I was in when I was in prep school in the States, we used to have tutoring classes, and I'm sure assistant coach here knows very well, but that's like they had tutoring classes for you to prepare for the SATs.
Right.
While in this situation here,
that's unavailable.
It's unavailable, right?
Yeah.
And we've been out of the lock since what, March? So Yeah.
Especially, there's so many international students now when you're dealing with Bermuda or Europe or Australia, like how do you get access to the test now? Because that's not a test you can do online, obviously. So it's definitely some a situation that they're going to, I think, give some more lenience on, but I think they'll be more, they'll be looking at your college grade, your high school grades, I should say, a lot more in depth than maybe the SAT score, moving forward.
Okay. Well, look, Dave, again, thank you very much. I think I'll probably say a few more things to you. I appreciate your time and effort. And again, we wish you all the best going forward with the University of Arkansas and continue taking care of your health during this tough time with the COVID-19.
Definitely not. I'm hoping to get.
Oh, I'm sure he was missing.
I was gonna say that because he'll have me pinned in the corner
You know what I'm saying?
by about 5 o'clock. Well, David, I do want to thank you for joining us here, giving your insight into basketball and your new venture at the University of Arkansas, and also look forward to bumping into you if all goes well at the Olympics, and hopefully Australia gets a good ride in, and you get that elusive medal that you were talking about. So have a good season if all goes well with this pandemic, and then hopefully we will be seeing each other around this time next year.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hopefully I can get on a plane and Eastern to visit you guys. And anything you need to, please reach out anytime.
We appreciate that, and we'll follow up. This is July. We'll follow up in September or October, see how things are working out with you down there in the South.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you again. That was the great, cool David Patrick, the son of Ison.
Yeah.
Ison's gonna looking for you and I.
Oh yeah.
He's proud.
And anybody that knows Ison knows that he'll come looking for you.
He's proud. He's a proud father of his son. His son's done very, very well with basketball, with playing, and now an assistant coach at the University of Arkansas.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess
Razorbacks.
I guess Brian Wellman will be contacting him very soon to make sure that he understands what the rules, and all at Arkansas are, because believe it or not, Brian is still well respected around that campus. So,
Most definitely. Well, let's take a commercial break and we're back after this.
Inside Sports Talk Radio. With Ian Rollins and Earl Mason.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. The interesting about back to David Patrick is very knowledgeable. He's on top of things. He understands the dynamics of this COVID-19, the rules that be outlined within University of Arkansas, within his position. It's a little different. It's a lot different, I should say. He also alluded to that the recruitment is different. Yes, a lot of Zoom, but the let me see what pressure, but the more questions they're getting from the parents
Right. Right.
of their son and daughter, in
Right.
case it be what scholarships or events that they're in, that making sure things are in place.
Yeah.
It's important.
The one thing that I take from especially coaches in the professional world, whether you're coaching females or whether you're coaching males, because you're dealing with so many different emotions, you're dealing with so many different temperaments,
Yep.
and you have to mold that. And I was glad you asked the question about the fact that the head coach is a white man and he's a black man, and how do they make that work? And the fact that they're looking to ensure that their players understand that all lives matter in that regard as
All
well,
equal.
and we're all equal, and we kind of have to come together in order for something to work. It's got to be, I have to respect you, you have to respect me, we have to respect each other, and let's get on with the business at hand, kind of thing. And all the outside, I guess, interference, you sort of try to limit it to.
The players that you have
Mhm.
to show them the importance. And again, that comes from being involved in sports,
Right.
where a lot of it is being taught and you can understand it more and they can relate to it more. Yes, there's been players and officials and administrators have been on the racism side of it, but the more knowledge of it that you know now, you can share it, understand it, and respect it, and you just don't matter where you're from. You just take it on and say, yeah, let's go, let's play the game, man. And that's why sports is international and it's been such a success.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, and remember that David's a young man. Still, so far has helped him to grow not only as a person but as a coach, and to go from a head coach position to an assistant coach position. It, it takes a strong person because they have to realize that now I have to take a not a backseat, but take a different approach to how I get my message across to a player, as opposed to being that person that has to be the forceful one all the time.
It's interesting. He used a great scenario. He said that at the University of Arkansas, their budget for their nutrition plan was 3.5 million. He said at Riverside was 0.5,
0.2 of that.
0.2 of that.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I got it. And that comes down because of where um, the expense, the competition, the athletes attend the SEC, Southeastern Conference. Right?
Yeah.
So it stands for Southeastern Conference. And if you don't go to the SEC, you usually go to what's it, the ACC.
ACC, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you think about it. You look at another great player that is going back into college basketball is Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's at his own. I mean, alma mater,
Georgetown.
University.
Yeah.
So it's interesting what these young guys are doing.
Right.
And they're putting it back into.
Things develop in different places. I mean, you've had the experience of going and playing different sports. So, just putting yourself in that environment to understand how things change from one minute to the next in sport is one of those things where a lot of people don't understand outside of just the players,
I'm gonna read this. I have to share this. It's gonna be a little different, and you can tell it's caught next week, right? Because what sent to us are always red and blue, dark and blue colors, right? So it's caught match week. So I'm gonna read this publicly, right? And it goes like this: Do not let them take the temperature on your forehead as you enter the supermarket, because it erases your memory. I went for macaroni and cheese. I came home with 2 cases of beer. I need to say any more?
How much is on my mind? It's party weekend.
It's party weekend, but these people are hard, but people could think of stuff like that, right? That's funny. That's hilarious, okay?
The problem is, it probably happened to the person that done it.
You're probably right. I haven't recovered, right? I haven't recovered. Gee, that mud. Yeah. And it's only Monday. We got what, 2 more days?
Yeah.
And it's got back.
Yeah.
Let's see. But again, back to David Patrick. Congratulations to him. I just want to thank also Sean Blanchard and Neil Painter, the president, says outlining what they're going to do for the cup match. And I think Thomas is going to do a little walk about he said on Thursday.
Yeah, he alluded to a march of sorts.
Right.
Um, which is one of the things I think is a good thing because it actually brings the community together, in a sense. And he did allude to the fact that they will be making sure that they follow all the government guidelines when it comes to that. So organizing it and ensuring that everybody obeys the rules is one of the things that is paramount for, I guess, Somerset, and looking forward to having their fans have an opportunity to be around each other as they would normally do on the Thursday of Cup match. They would be around each other, hoping to get on top of St. George. But
You said it right.
not
Get on-
this
get on
year.
top of St.
Yeah,
George.
well, St. George's would look to get on top of Somerset. So I mean,
I get
that's what the Somerset people would be looking for.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So
I got it.
you'd be all right.
Yeah, oh, fine. But the cup, listen, all right.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah. Hold up.
I've been down
Hold
that
up the
road.
cup you got. Hold up the cup you got.
I don't have the cup, the annual Cup Match Classic cup.
And neither do I.
I never get it. So you don't get technical? Okay. It's in the bank vault. I get that. That's not an issue.
Yeah.
Who is the defending champion of the cup that's in the bank vault, Mr. Baisden?
This year, no one.
Who was it last year, Mr. Baisden?
Who defended the trophy?
Yeah, the cup.
The cup.
Yeah.
Who defended it? Somerset.
And the cup is what vault? Where at part of the island? Somerset.
In the East End.
Something wrong. I get it. No worries. No worries.
Captain the vote in the East End.
Yeah. I heard it was Central.
No, whoever told you that is wrong.
But then they did say it's at the bank inside the Princess.
No, well. Won't go any
Won't go-
comments
well,
about
I'm
that.
saying bank is under the Princess, but it's closed.
Yeah.
There's no bank. Right.
Yeah.
Therefore, but anyway, Somerset has the cup, so
Yeah. For another year.
another year.
Another year.
The last won it in 2018.
Mhm.
There was a draw in 2019.
Yeah.
The weather saved you.
You can say that.
At least you're honest.
Yeah, you can say that. I mean, I wasn't here, so.
Oh, you wasn't here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You were texting me. I was giving you updates. That's right. I forgot you were overseas. You're shaking me. Damn, Lawrence, I need it rain. Give me an Indian dance. Give me an Indian dance.
You could go through your phone and you would not see any comments about Indian dance. No, not
no,
from me.
No, it's erased. You erased it. You erased it.
On your phone?
You delete all.
You won't see no delete all comments from me to you on your phone over the period of Cup match in 2019. You won't see that.
Always looking for an accent.
Yeah.
And Mr. Bassett, continue doing your job. So continue.
I'm a button guy, right?
You're the control man.
I play push those buttons.
Yeah.
You're the control man.
It's one of those things you send him down the store to get a shovel, he comes back with a spade.
You know what I mean? It's like,
No, you see, I got to still get macaroni and cheese. But it's still wrong, right?
Yeah,
It's still
yeah.
wrong. Sparkling water as opposed to macaroni and cheese, right?
Yeah,
way wrong.
Yeah, it's over with that. It's over. But just having to go back to the Cup match. Yeah.
sure.
I've had my 20-year drought. It's painful.
I can only imagine.
I remember, right, as a kid, we were talking about this, something to the president, Summers' president, Saturday about it. And Summers was in that drought, right? I remember they're trying to, Summers people trying to, you gotta change the rules. You gotta change this. You gotta change that, right? Yeah, gotta change games long. One year, I think it was 76. Summers just go like 300-400 something runs, right? Still came up to be a draw. I was a kid and I was like, yeah, we're gonna win this. Yeah, let's go with these runs. I said, George is in there, pad it up.
Sure.
Paid strokes, mate.
Yeah. Now if the game changed a
It
bit,
has changed a bit, yes.
the sessions are longer. Just different things.
That can lead to victories.
Right. In speaking with a few older captains, one of them alluded to the fact that whenever back in the day, Cup match used to be 2 years about,
Yeah, man, yeah.
unless you lost the first year at home,
And that, right.
and then it went to the other club.
Correct.
So basically, if you did not have the cup, that first year at home, you were told, whatever you do,
Don't lose cup.
don't lose the game.
Yeah,
Because you
yeah.
didn't have the cup, but don't lose the
The
game
game,
because you needed that. And then all that was changed to year about years later. But those type of things also played in the hands of St. George's, who had the cup for that long period of time. Because remember, Somerset weren't going to do anything through the first year that they hosted unless they put themselves in a position to win it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, when they won in 70,
When they won in 79.
79, I'm sorry,
Right,
79.
because that was the first year that they were hosting it,
Right.
and then 80. But had they lost in 79, 80 would have been in St. George's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So it was, the way the rules were that both clubs were looking at it, they were making sure that they were the host for 2 years. So that first year, whether you had the cup or
Or
not,
not. You didn't want to
you
lose it.
do not lose the first year at your club.
Because that was supposed to be the money making that
Yeah.
brings it in.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I sure do. Just let our listeners know that our third guest for today is unable to make it. He's got a scheduled conflict, and so he won't be able to make it. But we will be having Mark Wade. Dave will join us in the makeup. So when always comes through, such as a man, it's going to take care of the business. We understand that. So we definitely have Dave for the We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be back on the other side in the next 4 or 5 minutes. And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. On the phone right now is the president of the Bermuda Football Association, Michael Frank, and he's a Liverpool fan, Mr. Mark Wade.
Hey, and a special good afternoon to all the Liverpool fans out there.
Yes, sir. Never walk alone. All right, it's all good. Never.
Okay, I'm glad you two's got that off your chest.
I tell you, my mate's hard, but he says it all the time. But what he does, he sends me little messages like, "Look, I think I want to join Liverpool."
Who?
Says, see, he's saying who now because we're public, right? I
I
get
tell
it.
you before, Liverpool were red, but
We'll take care of the fees for him. We'll waive his initiation fees. He'll be all right.
does Liverpool wear light blue and dark blue?
Man City does. But that's not Liverpool. I'm just telling you what he said to me, Mr. President.
I know a lot of people fighting this, man. That's right. That's come across. All right.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Now, that's it. Mr. Bays is laughing, of course, you know. You guys update with us regarding the senior football for Bermuda international side. What's happening there, sir?
Well, and from local perspective, they're taking advantage of having so many players back on island. So the National Academy has been up in training. As you know, most of our national teams have 40%, some even more of players off island. So we've been able to take advantage of them being at home. So all of our teams are training, except for the senior men, but all the others under 15, under 17, under 20, male and female, are all training. So there's lots of activity going on at the Tri-Pass Center of Excellence. In addition to that, we saw the season that will commence the first weekend in September. So we're excited about that. We're just drafting those protocols, and then we'll obviously get them passed by Youth and Sport and the Health Ministry. So that's whenever we sit from a local perspective. Internationally, I have to jump on a call in 20 minutes when we will get some information about the outlook for international football for youth as well as the senior men, which everybody should recall that we have World Cup qualifying to do, and we also have Gold Cup qualifying. We were actually scheduled to play the winner of Bahamas and French Guiana in June. So due to the pandemic, obviously that didn't happen. So we're on pins and needles, just waiting to get this information that I'll get in a virtual president's meeting, which will be happening in just over 20 minutes. So I'm excited now, that things are starting to return to normal.
Mr. President, when you started seeing like the South Americans looking to start their World Cup qualifiers, and then over in Europe, you started seeing other bodies putting together plans of having international matches. How much of that like rejuvenated you to say, okay, there's a possibility we might be able to see something in 2020?
Oh, certainly. I started to really pay attention to that. When I started to see those announcements. But in addition to that, I've had one or two virtual meetings with the CONCACAF president, who actually is chairperson of international competition for FIFA, and he helps to coordinate all of the international windows for all the countries in the world. So being able to have a few chats with him and get some ideas on how things are going from that perspective. So it's actually exciting to now get to a point where we're getting closer and closer to resuming international football. So.
One of the challenges that you'll face, of course, no matter how this goes, is the financial part. We all know FIFA put forth with CONCACAF monies to our region to ensure that it was less stress financially on you guys. But then once we get into whatever they come up with, of course, it's going to be more financial headaches because obviously you got a shorter window for competition. Um, are you hoping to hear that as well in your call today? Not just when and where the plan is, but also how it's going to play out financially.
I'm sure we're going to hear a little bit of, what kind of financial support is going to be available from CONCACAF. What we do know is that FIFA their have their own COVID-19 relief plan, and we've had 2 phases of that, and we're phase 3, which we anticipate there will be some more financial support. We wait again with bated breath to find out what those regulations look like and what we'll be able to avail ourselves to. So definitely excited from both sides, from the regional side to CONCACAF and also from FIFA. So first step of that is the meeting in a couple of minutes.
We've seen other CONCACAF countries already started to rev up their senior men's national programs along with their youth programs. Have you had any idea from Mr. Maurice Lowe when the senior men will possibly get into some form of gatherness and training?
Not yet. They have had, I think, 1 or 2 Zoom meetings to get everybody together and just what they call a checking in meeting with everyone around the world. The next step, obviously, is how can we, jump into some sort of training. But we have to also be cognizant of the fact that our professional players will be on holiday and really resting their bodies. So it's a bit of a juggling act. The most local teams have started preseason training, and our foreign professionals will be looking for a rest. So a bit of a juggling act. I'm sure that he's had this sort of discussions with the national coach, and in short order they'll get the team together and do a bit of work.
Obviously, the AGM that you guys generally have in September, you'll be able to bring the clubs up to speed as to what the international calendar would look like. There should be some I guess clear skies on how that's going to play itself out, but also you're going to have buy-in from them because it more than likely it's going to be disruption somewhere along the line in the season. You think?
Yeah, I think no disruption that they're not used to dealing with, because we're going to be looking at the FIFA windows, and we'll probably get together with the club presidents before the annual Congress, just to appraise them of what the protocols look like domestically and what the schedule looks like. Because like I said, this swimming pool is kind of pivotal today, because we'll hopefully know when we're playing, where we're playing, and get a better idea. So I anticipate getting together long before the AGM, because we've got tons of information to share with them. So.
Mr. President, right now cricket has I think 4 fields, and those 4 venues shared amongst the various teams that are playing, and only a handful, I shouldn't say handful, but 250 persons allowed on the pitch, or in the venue, I should say. That may, or have you thought that it may impact football in the fall if things don't change regarding COVID-19?
Oh, you Liverpool people.
We're gonna obviously reach out to cricket. We do have a good relationship, so we'll reach out to cricket and discuss how they implement those protocols. And we'll certainly, be speaking with, like I said earlier, we'll be speaking with the health ministry and youth and sport to make sure that we're compliant and we're relying on the healthcare professionals to assist us. Number is at 250 at the moment, which I think for us it's manageable, except for cup games. But you know, we at the end of the day, we want to be playing football, so we'll adjust and we'll put the protocols in place that we need to.
And that will also impact the youth programs, as you know, numerous people come to support their loved ones, the young ones, as they get older, and what's the transition from youth to intermediate and senior football. That will play an impact again with the youth programs.
Yep, it definitely will. But you know, we have, yeah, I think we have things that football
Games off
outside.
at 12, then
We have a
four,
little bit more freedom.
so that's a little window.
But like I
Normally a
said,
double
we'll
header for
rely on the
football,
healthcare professionals to give us the
7,
right
then
guidance,
9.
and we'll adjust accordingly.
What will happen in case of like double header nights of football? We play, let's just say, games at 7 o'clock, next games at 9 o'clock. Um, Usually there's a window that's open because of COVID-19. There's some space in between. Do you think you may have to just do single games for now? Again, I'm just putting it out there. It's not September. Things may change for the better by then. But is that a possibility that you guys are looking at?
Perhaps. Again, we'd have to see what the healthcare professionals say, you know, because if we have double headers, there's going to be changing rooms, are going to have to be sanitized in between um, teams using them. So quite a bit of stuff that has to be considered. And, you know, I know that the competitions committee has already started wrapping their heads around it. As soon as we draft our protocols, we'll send them in. I mean, we have a good basis because we did have to send in protocols for the National Academy training, and we also sent guidance for all our clubs for restarting training. So we have a good basis for what matches will look like once we get that that document drafted and send it in, and you know, look at the feedback and adjust accordingly.
Okay.
As a football person, um, you must be excited about this upcoming season because this year we'll probably see a lot of university and college kids not going back to school, which will actually bolster their clubs for the upcoming season. How does that look for you as a football person, not just the president, but as a football person?
Oh, it's exciting. I've been doing my rounds already, and just having a look at different clubs training, and you can see the energy that some of the sort of college and even prep school players, for some of those players from week 16, are bringing to some of these training sessions already. So there's been a couple of tournaments that have happened around the island. So yeah, it is exciting to see. Perhaps we're going to have some college and prep school players on the island at least until January, where they may go back to school in January. But you know, for the first half of the season, we'll probably have some real good talent on the island for to have a look at. Exciting football.
But we know you have only a few minutes before you have to jump on that all important meeting call. So we want to wish you all the best, and we look forward to the outcome of this meeting as it would send us in. Well, we'll know what direction we're heading in internationally, and then of course we wait for the local aspect of how we'll be addressing football in September.
One quick question, Mr. President. You said that you're looking to launch football in first week of September. That's correct.
Yeah, that's the normal date, and we have the opening of the traditional charity cup.
Okay, just want to make sure you said that and I was on point with that. Okay, well, we wish you all the best again, and I know you're a busy man, so you've got a couple minutes to catch yourself and get yourself ready for your Zoom video. Bye-bye. Let's take a commercial break, and we come back. We have more Inside Sports Talk Radio.
Mason.
Well, it seems like things are falling into place with the protocols for the BFA going forward with COVID-19. Again, numbers per team, it helps them
Yeah.
compared to other sports. So,
And they still have some time on their side, so that's the good thing for them.
but they're being proactive by drafting everything now, put it into place, let the respective government bodies review it, give it checks.
Well, if you look at it, remember, prior to them having to cancel the season, they had a plan on how to operate. So
That's true.
most of that stuff is already done.
Just tweak.
Yeah, just has to tweak it a little bit, and then obviously get it to the clubs for them to approve it, and then move to the next level. Yeah. Yeah.
For the transfer list, then pay your fee.
Yeah.
Hey, come back, pay your fee. You pay your jet. Oh yeah, I get it. Go, whatever. But it's changed. Yeah.
And believe it or not, it'll be a new way of doing things. I doubt if we'll go back to the old way of doing things with so many developments and ways how to make it more efficient have been undertaken throughout this pandemic.
I think you're right. The funny part is like, well, wait, it's not funny, but we have to experience. Sports only allow 250 max. It's like, can be very interesting too.
Yeah.
Right? How long will that last? Until the pandemic. Stays
Mhm.
up a while, right?
Yeah.
So at least we have some sports. At least we have
Yes.
some activity.
Yes.
At least we have some breaking rights. Some banter.
Something. Yeah.
Something to talk
Yeah.
about and have some good fun.
Yeah.
And look back at it historically.
Mhm.
Yeah, you beat me 6-0. Yeah, during the pandemic season.
Yeah,
What did you
yeah.
expect? Oh, I didn't come out. It's gonna be funny, though. It's gonna be funny.
Mhm.
So, big story again, North America baseball. I've
Mhm.
heard anything, updates on that.
Well, they never got started today in England. Complete washout.
Oh yeah, the rain. They said it was, well, forecast was supposed to be rain.
Preston is 10 for 2. They need to bat out tomorrow in order to hold on to the Wisden Trophy. Should be
It's gonna
interesting.
be interesting. Yeah. Hopefully, get Indian dance again.
I'll just call a few some of the people you guys do that well. So yeah.
Well, last time we did it was 8-10 years ago. Since then, it's been old St. George's doing Indian dance.
Rhythm dance.
Indian dance, you just get down on your knee and pray for it. Got it? No worries, bro.
Don't even do that.
You just don't get the cup back.
That's it.
Right? Okay. Just back from baseball, your boy David Price, you know, he's the pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah.
He decided to sit out this year because of COVID-19.
Mhm.
And he's already slamming the commissioner.
Mm.
Basically slamming him, saying, what do you think about baseball's help the players?
Yeah.
Lives at risk. But you know, it's funny. And, you know, you get to know the stuff when you get older. Commissioners ain't following what the directors.
What the owners really want, and then you have agreements with the players' unions.
That's
You
where
know?
the fight comes.
Yeah.
But
But ultimately, the players' union have agreed with everything that they've put in place in order to have the season shortened, elongated, whatever, however you want to look at
60
it.
games, right?
You know, so it's never just one person's
No.
decision kind of thing. You know, remember the commissioner is the middle person for both sides to ensure that the game is followed, the rules are adhered to, and you know he governs the rules, but he or she that has that position basically is at the backing call of the players and the owners. You know?
Two things he doesn't look good at right now. Pictures. No, about the illegal cheating. Remember
Oh
the
right,
illegal
yeah, that's
stuff,
right, that's right, that's right, that's right.
And didn't take the World Cup home.
Right, the World Series, yeah.
Sorry, World Series.
Yeah.
And so, I always kept telling these guys that he's the weakest commissioner in North American sports. I'm gonna still say that because his decision making. Anywho, it's 3 o'clock. We gotta wrap up.
Okay.
It's a pleasure having you on board.
Yes, sir.
I would say all roads lead to the western end of the island this Thursday and Friday, but that's not the case. All roads are going to lead to any part of the island. Which have already started.
Yes.
If they ain't leading by road, they're all by sea.
By sea. Yeah.
Be safe, people.
Yes.
Be safe. That's
Yes.
very, very, very important. Be safe.
Yes. Happy Cup match.
Happy Cup. So if the game was in Somerset, we bring the cup to Somerset. If the game's in St. George's, we bring the cup to St. George's. We are the defending champions.
You are absolutely correct at this time, Mr. Rollins.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely correct.
Rainbow shine.
It's 301.
301.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah, he's running. An extra 365 days later. All right. Thank you, Mr. Bassett.
Thank you, sir. No way.
Enjoy your holiday.
I will do.
The game is not in St. David's. It's at Cleveland County.
It's in Cleveland County.
Okay? All right.